It's going to be so good. January 24th, 2026. Trump 1 year later, a red tie gala. It's going to be a spectacular evening. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. That's a La Aurora, Cameroon right there. It's a 1903. Let's do a radio show, shall we? A resolution to condemn socialism? Hot damn. I'm totally in for that. Tony Katz Today. What is going on with you, everybody? 833-468-8669. Callers, welcome. People don't think I take callers. Of course I do. They just have to be interesting and attractive. 833-GOT-TONY is the number. I have some of this story. It's a knockout. House of Representatives, this just happening, voting in favor of a resolution condemning socialism. Now, Mamdani got elected in New York. Mamdani is coming to the White House to visit with Trump. Maybe that's a reason for it. And 86 Democrats voted to favor the condemning of socialism, which means 98 didn't. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story today. Who doesn't vote to condemn socialism? Let's make sure we understand our terms and our terminologies. We understand our conversations here, that when we talk about socialism, we are in every way discussing communism. You could say to me, Tony, you can have one without the other. And I would say to you, I guess it's possible, just not in the United States, not with these progressives, not now, not ever. Stop it. We shouldn't lie to each other. That's like people saying that Democrats like Alyssa Slotkin, the senator from Michigan, and Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, weren't telling the active duty military to not listen to orders from Donald Trump, referring to them as illegal, saying that he has created a pressure and absolutely trying to usurp the duly elected president of the United States and commander-in-chief. Oh, if you follow the trolls on social media, they're all saying to me, oh, no, that's not what got said. You're not telling the truth, Tony. I'm right. They're trolls and criminally insane. Every rational person knows what got said. I'll break it down even further. Every rational person, I said. Rational people aren't socialists. But yet we've got 98 people who have been elected who won't condemn socialism. Well, that's 98 people to throw out on their ass right there is what that is. I mean, thanks for letting us know. And this brings us to an unbelievable bit of audio. Oh, Maxine Waters angry. Maxine Waters smash. This is about Representative Salazar. Maria Elvira Salazar. She represents the 27th district in Florida right there. Daughter of Cuban exiles. And she, the expression is, I rise to speak about. Okay, well, Representative Salazar, let's hear it right here. What is it that you rise to speak about?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there is someone who has seen the horrors of socialism up close within the Democratic Party, is in the House, and it's the Honorable Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Oh, damn, get popcorn. Get the popcorn. We're going to need it. No, we're going to need the big bucket. And we're gonna need the kettle corn and whatever that Garrett cheese mix is from Chicago. We're gonna send somebody up and get it. Where's the bourbon? I'm gonna need bourbon. And I'm gonna get 2 milkshakes. This is gonna be a long night. I need bourbon. Get it all. Bring it in. And if somebody could also get me a turkey club, that'd be fantastic. Oh hell! Invoking Maxine Waters in the first 7 seconds, talking about communism and Castro and okay, I shouldn't be so excited, but this is gonna be great.
And I would love for you to support this resolution specifically because, Madam Waters, for decades you traveled to Cuba dozens of times to visit Fidel Castro personally, whom you consider your friend.
We're gonna need extra butter on the popcorn. Get the truck. Get the truck. Go to the AMC. Tell them we need all the popcorn. Extra butter. Put it in your pockets. I don't care. She's calling out Maxine Waters. Oh, damn. Get it all. Get some nachos too. And don't skimp on the jalapenos, right? I'll take them off myself if it's just too much. Anyway, what was Representative Salazar saying?
Congresswoman Waters was in Havana, and she saw the destruction of biblical proportions that Castro caused on that island, who at the time in 1960 had the highest per capita income in the Western Hemisphere. At that time, Madam Waters knew that thousands and thousands of Cubans were escaping on a raft, exposing their lives and their children to be eaten by the sharks.
It's at this moment that members of the House start realizing what it is that Representative Salazar, who is the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee chair, Republican, is doing. Here we are discussing socialism, and we have members of this body visiting with Castro and loving on Castro and watching firsthand the disaster. This is cold-blooded. This is, well, I wasn't kidding. This is grab the popcorn, grab the bourbon, whatever, front row seat. And you can start hearing, if you're listening closely, it may not play on radio perfectly. You're hearing people starting to move around in the background because they realize what's happening here. Congresswoman Salazar is calling out Congresswoman Maxine Waters directly. And I do not know if Maxine Waters was in the room, but guaranteed 2 seconds after Salazar started talking, someone was running out of the chamber, picking up their phone and saying, Max, you got to get over here. And from there, it gets nuts.
She knew that Afro-Cubans were being beaten on the streets of Havana, discriminated against by Fidel Castro, Mr. Speaker. And for that reason, I am bringing up all these facts because Madam Waters knew that the Cuban jails were full of political prisoners, and the Cubans did not have the same privileges that we are having right now to speak freely.
Maxine Waters knew. The voice you just heard is that of Maxine Waters, who is jumping in. Now, I listened to this. I do not think any bad words were used because this is the floor of the House. But hey there, Producer Landon. How about a finger on the dump button just in case?
We are having right now to speak freely. At that time, Madam Waters never raised her voice to denounce the horrors of socialism, Mr. Speaker. For that reason, I am asking Madam Waters.
For what purpose the lady from California seeks recognition?
I move to take her words down.
Order. The House will be in order. The lady from California.
To the screaming going on in the background. Good Lord.
California, for what purpose do you rise?
I rise to take down her words.
Now, the expression take down words is very, very specific to the House of Representatives. It actually has a specific meaning because taking down words is a parliamentary procedure. And the taking down of words is actually calling for a sanction, saying that the entirety of the talk, of the speech, is a violation of decorum. And it could mean if your words are taken down, you are not allowed to speak for the rest of either the day or for the actual the hearing itself, like what the legislation is about or the resolution is about, etc. So what Maxine Waters is asking for is for Representative Salazar for speaking honestly about the situation in Cuba and how Maxine Waters watched it firsthand and did nothing except say, "You're great, Fidel." She doesn't want that on the record. So understand what's being asked for here.
Lady from Florida, please be seated.
So Salazar's
Ask the clerk to please report the words.
Maxine Waters, confronted with the truth, just tried to silence another member. That's what happened. 98 members of the United States Congress did not vote to condemn socialism. Just some notes. There's no such thing as a democratic socialist. They're all socialist. Democratic socialists are not real. Now, there's a party or a group or an organization called Democratic Socialists, and they attend meetings and all that jazz, but it's just wordplay. It's all BS. They are what they are. They are people hell-bent on the destruction of Western civilization. They do not want you to be able to engage. They do not want you to be able to speak. They do not want you to be able to live this life. They believe in an outrageously nonsensical way that somehow the failure of communism can be done right if only they were doing it, because they really know best. They know communism better than Lenin and Stalin, better than Mao. Nah. But it is embarrassing how this lie continues to grow and to build. And it does. And as for the 98 members who voted not to condemn socialism, these are people who can't be in Congress anymore. And I don't favor litmus tests on religion. But man, we should start asking ourselves whether or not there should be a litmus test on this. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, guys. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I'm just getting some information to some people. One of my stations was asking for something, and I want to make that happen. Oh, that was precious. That was actually incredible. Truly, truly, truly incredible. I mean, I've got so much good nonsense insanity today. Is it all right if we just? I mean, I am going to talk about the Ukraine deal, and I don't know how the Ukrainians take it, except they may not have an option. There's the Mamdani conversation. I have got word from the Secretary of Transportation that is so great, and I'm taking full and 100% credit for it in every single way. I've got that story to get to. So much to get to. So much. I'm glad you guys are here, though. I appreciate it. Welcome to the show. Hey, look, here's a guy named Z who's a total scumbag. Hey, total scumbag Z. Don't care what you think about Israel. Didn't ask. Israel remains. Am Yisrael Chai. Screw off. I'm glad we had this talk. Oh, I feel better. There you go. Bye, Z. There it is. I'm sorry. Were we talking about something? I'm sorry. Just a schmuck. Join the chat there. No, don't want to be Rush Limbaugh. Want to be me. I'm pretty good with that. Thanks. I've got a troll telling me I'm a wannabe Rush Limbaugh. First of all, who in the world could be Rush Limbaugh other than Rush Limbaugh? I ask you. Secondly, I don't want to be Rush Limbaugh. I want to be me. But if I could have just half the stations he had, I'd be very happy. I would bathe in $50 bills. Oh, treasure bath. Like, not even a question. Call me Scrooge McDuck. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com. It's just terrific. It is just terrific. And it goes in waves, and you get it as well. The level of anger, the things that people say, they think that, I don't know, is going to have an effect on you. It's kind of incredible. This was not incredible. This is exactly what you would expect. So we know we've got this story of Representative Cherfilus McCormick, this representative from Florida. She is indicted of basically scamming FEMA out of $5 million. She had a healthcare company with her. I think it was her brother. And they were paid during the COVID times to help people get vaccinated. Can you imagine? They paid people to do this and people figured out how they could get in on this? Incredible. Money hand over fist. And so the word on the street is they basically took $5 million, didn't do anything. And this really got noticed when she funded her own campaign with $6 million. Even amongst members of Congress, they're like, how in the world did she get $6 million? She's not doing stocks with Nancy Pelosi. How did that happen? Well, now she wants you to know that this indictment is just unjust. Unjust, I tell you. And if it's unjust, you know what that means. Here it is.
Your thoughts on the indictment, please.
Well, it's an unjust indictment, and it seems like his intimidation tactics have been pervasive. We spent all week seeing different members getting censured, all in hopes of intimidating and kind of distracting from the Epstein files. And I look forward to my day in court so I can prove myself and actually state the truth. But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district. And everybody has been giving me so much support, and we're going to keep fighting until the district gets what it needs, which is fair prices, housing, and fair representation in Congress.
So you are indicted after a almost 2-year ethics investigation. This ethics investigation started in 2023, and the answer is, well, it's racism. Okay. I should note that the member of Congress here, Cherfilus McCormick, is black. And I think we should be at the point in all these conversations where when someone says racism, we say, would you just shut up already? Racism exists. Not here. This is a cudgel that you want to use, and we're just tired of it. We think it sucks. We think you're lame. We think you're boring. We think you're a loser. And you're like, are you talking about Sonny Hostin? Well, sure. But in this case, I'm talking about the member of Congress. It's boring. I said this the other day, and I think I'm the only person saying it, but there's no way I'm the only person who has ever said it, right? That's impossible. But I think I'm the only person saying it on air. I could be wrong. I only hope others are. There are two sides to the bell curve. I have met people of all stripes who are totally decent and who are complete and total crooks, or at least that's the way I felt about them. People who are smart and people who are damn fools. People who I consider friends and people who I would never allow into my house. White, black, Hispanic, gay, straight, Jewish, Christian. There are Jews out there right now who are looking at someone like Zohran Mamdani and they're like, he's a good guy. Yeah, dumb Jews. What? I've met smart Jews too. There are two sides to the bell curve. And just because someone does something and you notice, someone's indicted and you notice, doesn't mean that the indictment is in and of itself or the thing that you notice in and of itself is somehow bigoted. That's nuts. To scream, to claim, to state, well, this is just racism. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And we need to be louder in telling these people to shut it, to shove it, to stick it. I don't know what other word you want to utilize there, but all of those things. Because, of course, what they're doing is making the statement that you should not notice. Oh, I think we should notice. I think we should notice. Yesterday, we engaged deeply in the conversation of Congressman Corey Mills. Stolen valor allegations, criminality in utilizing their position in Congress to secure government contracts. Never mind the allegation of a physical abuse towards a woman. Corey Mills is white. No one looked at me askew. No one called me any names for discussing the allegations against Congressman Corey Mills. But I discussed the allegations against this congresswoman, and all of a sudden, I'm the problem? Nah. No. I didn't do anything wrong. I noticed what was happening, and I talked about it. And if your argument is, well, if you talk about this person, you're a racist, my argument is, hey, why don't you go to hell? Wait, not you. You get to stay. But those people can go to hell. I don't know why we aren't more aggressive about this. That we're honest people engaged in an honest conversation, utilizing the facts in front of us. Let's do that. And these people who don't want us to, they're the enemy. They're the enemy. Why can't we say so? As a matter of fact, we can and we should. We should do it more often. Speaking of enemies, Senator Slotkin and Senator Kelly, amongst others. This is Tony Katz Today. So this right here is La Aurora's The Cameroon, the 1903. Now, I got this. I am a sucker for a Cameroon rapper. I do like it. Oddly enough, this doesn't play like other Cameroons. This is it's a spicier stick to me. But I did find it. I got it on sale, and I'm pleased. I don't remember perfectly. Did I get this for $7 a stick? And for $7 a cigar, this is something that I would smoke. Not all the time. Not all the time. And this goes to the conversation of, do you really have to spend in order to get quality? The answer is absolutely not. But sometimes, yeah. That is the case. You don't always have to spend huge dollars, but sometimes, yeah, is the best way I can explain it, best way I can describe it. Someone called me a maggot. Get it? MAGA with a T, a maggot. Gosh, look at these people. As if they're going to make any dent in reality. I almost posted yesterday. God, that's so dumb. I was discussing, I almost got into yesterday on social media, but there's no need to do it on social media. We have discussed that the only way out is through. I want you to know how absolutely right we are. You can argue that the divide is on social media, but certainly the divide is in the country. This doesn't end easily. It doesn't end quickly. And I would argue it doesn't even end well. And that's awful. The only way out is through. We've got a generation of dealing with this, of just a Trump hate, a Trump insanity, and whoever replaces Trump, that person will get exactly the same. Exactly the same. Trump is Hitler and J.D. Vance is worse, I believe. Oh, what if it's Marco Rubio? Worse. And how do I know this? They said that about Mike Pence. The same guy that they want to claim now is some kind of folk hero. The only way out is through. This is not going to end easily. It's not going to end quickly. At all. At all. Ken has asked me a question. The best place that you ever had a cigar rolled in front of you. So I've gotten a fair amount of cigars out of Ybor City. I think I've done some very good work there. I don't think it's there anymore. El Sol, I always thought did a very good job. And there was a place I didn't see it rolled in front of me. In John's Pass, I believe it was. I don't know. Was it Cigar Paradise? I don't think it may have been. Oh gosh, what's the name of the place in John's Pass? So Madeira Beach. No. That's not it. Oh gosh. No, Cuban. Maybe it was Cuban Paradise, Cigar and Cafe. That's where it was. I thought they did a very good job. John's Pass in Florida there. So let's go. A moment, if you would, of just personal privilege. A moment to say to all those who ever questioned me, whoever doubted me, whoever said, Tony, you're just being silly with this whole thing about you and airplanes. Tony Katz today. Guys, good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over there at TonyKatz.com. What in the world does that have to do with anything, Tony? Why are you bringing this up? Well, first, a lot of people are flying. An outrageous number of people are going to be flying and traveling this Thanksgiving. I mean, it's a stupid number. News Nation had the story. And according to them, according to AAA, 82 million people are going to be traveling at least more than 50 miles. 73 million will be traveling by car. Everybody is traveling. And this brings us to a story. It was on Daily Wire. It is Sean Duffy. And the story reads, the headline reads, Oh, I'm so happy right now. No more pajamas, folks. Is it time to dress to impress on planes again? I am taking full credit, ladies and gentlemen. No one else in America, me and me alone. I am taking 100% credit for this. I, for years, have been discussing the clear issue, the clear problem that exists on airplanes. This nonsense of people wearing their pajamas on a plane. If you are over the age of 4, you have to wear pants. And if you're a grown man, put on a suit. What the hell is wrong with you? Well, I want to be comfortable. No, what you have is no self-respect, and it has to stop. You have no respect for anybody else. Why do you think everybody is absolutely garbage trash on an airplane? Well, some of it has to do with the fact that the TSA is terrible. And Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, has to agree to this and address this. Some of it has to do with the airlines absolutely failing on an epic level to well take care of the traveler. David Marcus over at Fox News, Blue Box Dave on X, really, really good guy, chain smoker extraordinaire. The only other person I've ever seen smoke on TV other than me. I think he did it first. He wrote a story once, just going on 3 years ago now, maybe it was only 2 years ago, maybe it was longer, about the Concorde. Do you remember the Concorde, guys? We were getting from New York to Paris in no time, and it had the weird nose cone there, that angle down, and look at how we're advancing. Have we had an advancement in flights in decades? No, we've had nothing but regression. We get worse service. We don't get silverware anymore. You don't get a meal anymore. You can't get a blanket or a pillow anymore. The seats don't recline anymore. And the seats get smaller. And then the seats aren't clean. And then the TSA is screaming at you. And everybody is ginned up in every single sense of the word. And why do you think we have more fighting on airplanes? A lot has taken place that is seriously problematic and has been abusive towards the flying clientele. Some of it's the people. They started showing up in their pajamas. They started showing up in sweats or in spandex. They started showing up in tank tops and flip-flops. What the hell was wrong with you? That's not how you show up anywhere. No, you don't get to wear your pajamas. Well, I like to be comfortable. That's not an argument. You're a child. And you clearly have no respect for the other people around you. You got to show up for a flight like you have respect for other people and yourself. Me, my children have seen me do it. My wife has been dealing with this for years. My friends know this. When I travel, I wear a suit. Yeah, when I'm on the plane, do I take the jacket off and hold it? But yeah, that's fine. Do I think if you're wearing socks, if you're on a long flight, it's okay that you take your shoes off? I actually do. Right there under you. You can't walk around in your socks. I think that's weird. That's messed up. Can't walk around in bare feet. That's disgusting. And oh, by the way, nobody wants to see your feet. Well, I just want to be comfortable. I can do this if I want. No, you're wrong. What you are is a selfish, self-entitled brat, and you don't deserve to be on my plane. You have a responsibility to the person next to you, and they have a responsibility to you. And when everybody has a responsibility to everybody else in this little ecosystem, you get a better result. You get a more respectful result. Sean Duffy saying people dress up like they're going to bed when they fly. We want to push people as we come into a really busy travel season, help people out, be in a good mood, dress up. And that the Trump administration wants to bring civility back to air travel through their golden age of travel starts with you campaign. I am taking complete and total credit for this. This is all me. I will not listen to anyone else anywhere. I have been the sole lone voice on this subject for years right here on this show. I am overjoyed by what it is that's happening here. Duffy's got a checklist. There's a checklist. Here, 5 things. 5 things you can do to be kinder. Are you helping a pregnant woman put her bag in the overhead bin? Do you help anybody put their bag in the overhead bin? Or are you too busy moving somebody else's stuff so your bag, the third bag that you have, can be in the overhead bin? Are you dressing with respect? Respect for yourself and respect for others. And then, of course, are you keeping control of your children? Oh, man, there are some parents who don't like to hear that. But those parents need to know your kids aren't special. As a matter of fact, I think it could be argued that your kids suck. Now, you don't think so. And in truth, maybe they don't. But if you ain't keeping a hold of them, if you're letting them kick on the seat, oh, it's okay, they're just a kid. You're terrible. Set the ground rules with your kids. And also, to that end, if you bought tickets on a plane and the seats are not together, don't you dare demand that people change seats with you. I'm sorry, my child has the seat here in 3A in first class, and I need to sit next to them. So you can take my seat. It's in 35B. No. I'm not doing that. That's your problem. And by asking me, this is not a conversation of respect. Well, Tony, we need to be respectful of people. No, nothing could be more disrespectful than this. Nothing. You can maneuver seats with somebody in 35A or C and then give them the first class seat or the seat in the more front of the plane. If you are somebody who needs to move seats, change seats, sometimes be helpful, but sometimes no. Not when it means that you're going to lose out on hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Not when it means you're going to be inconvenienced because they did not plan properly. Now, sometimes there are extenuating circumstances, and you can be a person who listens to that. But do not think, I need to, it's not even when the kid, I'm traveling with my girlfriend, we're in separate seats. Hey, do you mind moving? Yeah, I mind moving. Dude, don't be a jerk about this. The minute someone says don't be a jerk about it, that person should be thrown off the plane. Bye. Thrown off the plane, can't fly for 6 months. We take your driver's license and we let 20 people line up to hit you in the face with a fish. That's it. People got to handle themselves, man. Are you saying thank you to your flight attendants and pilots, which is a standard thing to do? Now, Secretary Duffy, let's be clear. The flight attendant has to be nicer. The flight attendant acts like they don't want to be there. The flight attendant acts like I'm somehow in the way. The flight attendant needs to change their attitude too. This is not all a one-way street, guys. The flight attendant needs to change how they act. I don't care what happened in their personal life today. I do not care if their kid yelled at them. I don't care if they had a bad breakup. I don't care if they have to pay their taxes. We all do. True story. I may have told this story before. I do morning radio as well. You guys, I don't know if you know that, I do 6 hours a day. I do the morning show in Indianapolis on 93.1 FM WIBC. And then I do this fantastic show right here, which is live streaming on YouTube right now, youtube.com/Tony Katz. You should be a part of that. And this was my first year doing mornings, second year, and I had never done mornings before. Mornings are a very different thing, and I think I was very bad at it at the start. It took a while to really learn the format and everything else. Anyway, I'm there, and I'm sitting in my chair, and my computer isn't working in the studio. And my computer isn't working. I'm complaining about how my computer's not working. And I get a text from my program director, who is still my program director at WIBC, and the text reads, "Shut the blank up." I didn't know him that long, but he's never spoken to me like that a day in my life. And I said, okay. And now I'm just curious what this is all about. I move on to other things. I see him after the show, And I said, what in the world was that about? He said, Tony, people are going to jobs they don't like, in cars that don't work, their kids giving them a problem, their girlfriends giving them a problem, their spouses giving them a problem. They've got all these issues. And you, who gets to sit in air conditioning and sip coffee, are complaining about your computer. They don't care about your problems. They care about their problems. And I said, okay, you're right. I'm wrong next. Because that was the answer. That was the answer. And what the flight attendant has to do is act like a professional and recognize this. Act like you care about the people paying your salary. Engage professionally with them. Treat them well. They've got other issues. Never mind general nerves about flying. This is great. This is where we want to be. But dressing for an airplane, kids, I'm taking full credit for that. Not Donald Trump, not Sean Duffy, me. Get a suit. Go full Barney. Suit up when you fly. My gosh, we can make America great again. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, guys. So you'll forgive me for texting a little bit. So when we started the show, we had a routing issue with some of the stations that get the show, and they weren't getting the show. Oh, actual dead air. Nothing. It's all fixed now, but not cool. So I'm talking to you, and I'm solving a problem, and Landon's running back and forth between a couple different spots. There were like 5 people recognizing that careers were on the line right there. Not good. Not good at all. So sorry about that. That had to be handled and taken care of, and I'm glad that it was. I'm glad that you guys are here. I have got, what else? Oh, God, I haven't even done these treasonous folk. Known as the Democratic Party. I will get to that. Is Trump talking about how nonsense these people are? Okay. Okay. Good. I will get to that. What do you guys want me chatting about? Beautiful day. What is in the bottle with the two? Oh, that's not a bottle. That's a plaque. That is a. I can't. I had moved it. Okay. Now I'm a yutz. No, I'm not. It is it's an award that I'm leaving it. It's not a bottle. I can't even. I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna totally get rid of it. It shouldn't even be out there. I didn't even realize it was there. I knew the bottles were up there. Someone asked what the bottle in the middle is next to it. So that's Recovery Rye. I created that with a couple people here in Indianapolis during COVID, and it raised money for people in the hospitality industry who were out of a job. Absolutely fantastic bit of Indiana rye right there. We sold it across the state, and it sold great. We raised thousands, and so that's what it is. It's called Recovery Rye. And I still would like to see if that could be a brand. Like, I totally dig it. It's so great. Maybe one day. In the meantime, let's go do a radio show. President Trump coming out with words about those Democrats angry with him. Democrats said, you should not, military, listen to us. You don't have to follow illegal orders. They were accusing President Trump of giving illegal orders. It's exactly what they were doing. They were accusing President Trump of engaging in an activity that was somehow against the American military. That's what they did. It's what they did. Tony Katz today. I'll get into this. So Trump responded by saying, this is seditious behavior. Lock him up. And someone said, well, George Washington would have hung them. And Trump retweeted that. It was punishable by death. And Democrats are like, he's coming after Democrats. He wants us dead. Bunch of fools. Bunch of ridiculous, despicable, low-rent, low-class fools. I will get to that story on in the next hour. I will get to that story. Also, my conversation with Ed Morrissey regarding the deal in Ukraine. Hard deal. Really hard. And then there is CNN that made a statement that the cabinet is about to get a shakeup. Caroline Leavitt has come out to say that is 100% fake news. The truth is, President Trump could not be happier with his cabinet. Shame on you, CNN. I would say that, first of all, CNN lies. They've been caught in so many of them. But what I would say that it's certainly possible that there could be a change. Changes do happen. And after a year, a change could happen. Of course. But this is the kind of story that you put out so when some change happens, you can go, see, we had the reporting early on. We've got the inside track. We know what's going on. We're CNN. You can trust us. It's one of those kinds of stories. Right? It's one of those stories that you put out this really generalized statement, and then when something happens within the generalized statement, you go, I told you. That's how I take it. Of course, they cited unnamed sources that the administration is preparing for a cabinet turnover. And there's possible friction inside the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Energy. Now, energy is Chris Wright, Wright. I wouldn't know about anything. Homeland Security is Kristi Noem. And I would tell you there's absolutely the possibility of friction between Noem and Tom Homan. Borders are undoubtedly possible. Possible friction between Noem and a whole host of people. Friction? Sounds like type A personalities dealing with type A personalities. You wouldn't know that from the Biden era because, yeah, you get the rest. I'm Tony Katz. Yes, Substack. That's where TonyKatz.com is. It's on the Substack. And we are really working aggressively now to expand this. And not only am I hiring a writer? That's weird. I don't know. But definitely we're hiring a director here and we're looking at doing some expansion there. I'm sorry I didn't go to Substack years ago. Really. I'm sorry I ever did the experiment on locals. Just didn't work and no helpfulness whatsoever. And I'm not bagging on Dave Rubin. I think he really did try to create something there, and a lot of respect for what Rubin has created for himself. He's done a very, very good job of it, really and truly. But it's just locals is not friendly. But Substack is really great, and so going in that direction. Well, we're already there. We're just building it out. The radio show is in break, so we're going to be in commercial break. So hang loose, smoke them if you got them, if you would. And don't forget also, do I have a photo? Do I have a photo? Yes, I do. Look at that beauty. That is Flederman Von Riest right there. And you want to get your timepiece for the holidays. Von Riest. These are watches that are assembled right here in America, in Indiana. That is the quartz chronograph. It is beautiful. Comes in a bunch of different colors. I am wearing right now, as we speak, I'll take it off. This is the automatic chronograph right there. Come on. And beautiful. Oh my gosh. The time is off. How did I not do that? Time is off. What did I have that set to? My God, I said it early this morning when I did the morning show. I was off by, no, I wasn't off. I just completely read it wrong. Wow. Yeah, I was right. I was right. No, that one I did wrong. There it is. Much better. This is available at vonriest.com. Shop.vonriest.com. They're incredible timepieces. They're so great. You're going to pass them down through the generations, and they're going to last. They're just terrific. Love them. Always get looks. Always gets talked about. Go to shop.vonriest.com. Use promo code CATS and get your discount. Hang loose, guys. We'll be back in a little bit. Keep it here. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. That's me. The show is Tony Katz today. I appreciate you being here. Absolutely. My OnlyFans page is coming along fine. Thank you. My OnlyFans idea, I'm still telling you, it's just genius. Is absolutely genius right there. I'll get to that another time. You want chats in the? We can do that. Like, do you schedule those? Like, do we do a scheduled chat at TonyKatz.com Wednesdays at 7 p.m.? Like how do we do it? You describe to me how we do it, and we can do that. I'm happy to. I am happy to do that. No problem. Is there a how-to guide? I'm assuming if you ask AI, it'll tell you how to do everything. Substack. But there are people who are very, very good at it and adept at that. I want to bring them on. I just think that there's great possibilities there. It's the first time I felt like you can actually create something of value. And creating something of value in the social media space is, I don't think that's well done. I guess it's the best way to put that right there. Let me see what else we've got. All right. We will move on to it. I will bring that to you right there. I've got that. I've got that. Let's see. Let's do a radio show. It's funny that President Trump thought it necessary to explain his remarks, but Democrats don't feel the need to explain theirs. Therein we see an issue. Tony Katz today. What's going on, everybody? Live streaming on YouTube as well as the radio show, youtube.com/Tony Katz. Come be a part of it. The phone number, 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669. You want to be a part of the show. Happy to have you. Trump wanted to say that he's not threatening Democrats, but I think they're in serious trouble. President Trump was clarifying his punishable by death comments. What are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about this disgusting video put out by Democrats. And this disgusting video said this.
Risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
No part of that is true. That is a lie so reprehensible that every single one of them should be voted out of office. They should resign in shame. Now, if you follow me on social media, you saw me say this a lot yesterday. I actually utilized the words of Gabby Giffords, who is the wife of Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, one of the people who despicably is in this video. And I used it back at them, and I repeated it in like 17 different spots. And people are like, you're only cutting and pasting. What I had to say bears repeating. This is shameful. Go back and listen to what it is that they're saying right here. They create this video talking about the military. And look at us. We're all members of the former members of the military, and we want to speak directly to members of the military.
speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
Against American citizens.
Where is this happening? Where is the military and the IC, the intelligence community, being pitted against Americans? It's a rational question. It's not happening. It's not real. What are they talking about? Well, here's what they're talking about.
Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
Anyone who wants to say that this video, they're not saying disobey orders from Donald Trump, they can say that. That isn't exactly the words that they used. But they said the Trump administration is pitting Americans against the military and the IC, or the military and the IC against Americans. They said this, and then they said that we have to protect, that you were in the military and the IC swore to protect the Constitution.
And this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Every rational person in the United States of America, which is to say nobody who's a leftist and nobody's on social media, understood this as them saying that Donald Trump is putting forward unlawful orders, and therefore
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
how do you expect the guy on the front lines to do this? We're taking that hill. Oh, I believe that's an unlawful order. You understand, as a rational person, what they are trying to do is sow unrest in the military. And we, as laymen, call that treasonous, certainly seditious. We call it disgusting, reprehensible. They know what they said. They know what they did. There was no need for this video. They said, how can we start a whole new thing? How can we gin things up? And what are the odds that Trump will take the bait? Well, to an extent, you could argue Trump took the bait. Now, here's where you can have two different views of it. Some will say Trump took the bait and he came out and said what they did was seditious behavior from traitors. Should we lock them up? And then he retweeted somebody who said this is punishable by death. George Washington, would have had them hung, and he put out punishable by death. And look how violent President Trump is. And some people would argue that he fell for it, right? He went for the bait. Other people would say, well, Trump started talking about it, and the way he did, now everybody's talking about, wait, what is this all about? And then they see the video and they're like, what the hell is wrong with these disgusting low-life Democrats? Now, before we go any further, I am not one who believes that you have to have worn the uniform in order to speak about the military. I think it is amongst the cheapest arguments, the most pathetic arguments, to say, you didn't serve, so why don't you keep your mouth closed? Which part of kiss off do you want me to explain to you? I'll say anything I want anytime I want. That's how this works. You can say something, but I can't. There's now a litmus test to who can speak as to whether or not you wore the uniform and served the country. I thought part of wearing the uniform was to ensure that I could speak, and now all of a sudden I can't? To those members of the military or anybody else who wants to say, if you didn't wear the uniform, you don't get to speak, what exactly is wrong with you? And have you ever thought about how unbelievably stupid you sound? I'm not a guy who usually uses the word stupid. I don't use dumb and stupid as a matter of course, because I believe they really do end conversation. But it is a stupid thing to say. Well, if you're not a woman, you can't talk about abortion. Yeah, I can. Of course I can. I'll talk about abortion and the problems therein anytime I want. I'm not a woman, so I don't get a say. Ooh, can we talk about all the things that women shouldn't have a say in? Well, that's sexist. Oh, okay. My gosh, you've got yourself covered. I'll talk about abortion, ladies, any damn time I choose. Anytime I want to talk about the horrors of abortion, I will do that. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Having conversations is not about whether somebody will like it. It's about whether or not we are actually people who engage in free speech. And the idea that the only people who could discuss things a la the military are people who served in the military is nonsense, if only because we're a civilian-run military. Good gosh, it's embarrassing and pathetic. Trump went on with Brian Kilmeade and said, I'm not threatening them, but I think they're in serious trouble. I think it's wrong that he had to do this, or that he did. I think it's wrong that the conversation is about what Trump said. Trump's comments come from a place. If you are trying to usurp the duly elected president of the United States, rational people think of that as treasonous. Now, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the law might see it as something else and not treason. They might call it this, they might call it that, they might call it the other. But two guys on a bar stool, voters, they know what it is. They know what it is. They know what happened here. They know when they're being lied to. They know when someone is acting in a way that's unacceptable. The American people get it. And what the left is trying to do, and their trolls on social media, they're trying to engage a level of gaslighting that what got said isn't what got said, but it is. When I tell you I think that Senator Slotkin is disgusting, I mean it. When I tell you I think Senator Kelly is disgusting, I mean it. When I tell you I think Representative Crow is disgusting, I mean it. And when I say they should resign in shame, I mean it. They lied. A fight between the military and the people. I'm one of the people. You're one of the people. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the taking out of drug boats? Is that what we're talking about here? Shouldn't the argument be from senators, we need to, if we're going to be engaging in an active war in Venezuela, we need to declare war, and we're going to demand it, and we're going to utilize this position that we hold to pressure the president into going forward with it. He has to ask us to declare war. Otherwise, we're going to put a stop to this. Funny, I know a guy on radio who's been having this conversation. No, what you do is you try and usurp the president, who, while I would argue as well within his rights to defend the nation, you're calling Venezuela a narco-terrorist state. You're engaging in these attacks on the boats. There comes a moment where you're going to have to make your case. You're going to need congressional approval. That's just the way it is. Does that mean that you can't stop an imminent threat? Of course not. It means if we're going to war with Venezuela, Congress has to be the one to declare war. It does not make the order to take out the drug boat unlawful. And you, Alyssa Slotkin, wouldn't decide that anyway. You could argue that a Supreme Court could decide that, but not you. Not in a video like this, which is not meant to let the members of the military know of the rights that they have. Again, how would they go about challenging it? How would they do that? Hey, we're taking out this drug boat. We have the intelligence it's a drug boat. We're taking it out. Well, I don't know if that's a lawful order. That guy doesn't end up in a stockade, or is it a brig? I don't know, but it's in some place with bars and a key. How do they do that? What are you actually saying? What you're saying is, to America, Donald Trump is not the duly elected president. Donald Trump is doing this wrong. Donald Trump is a danger. You are once again engaging for the lone wolf to try an assassination attempt. That's what you're doing. And yet I have Hakeem Jeffries and I have Chuck Schumer screaming and yelling and caterwauling about the idea that Trump is putting Democrats in danger. This was Chuck Schumer.
Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social calling for Democratic members of Congress to be hanged. He also posted a message that said, seditious behavior, punishable by death. Let's be crystal clear. The President of the United States is calling for the execution of elected officials. This is an outright threat, and it's deadly serious.
That's not what he did. It's not what he did. I have said before that the only way out is through. That when we take a look at the divide taking place in the United States, a fair amount of it is just social media claptrap nonsense, and a fair amount of it is just the despicableness of our members of Congress. But it is true. It is true that the divide is real, and there is no bridging that divide today. There just isn't. The only way out is through. We have got a generation ahead of us to fix this. It's going to take time, and it's going to be ugly. If you are not willing to be honest about what it is these Democrats did, what it is they said, what it is they said, the despicableness of their statement. If you, well, they didn't say that to disobey Trump's orders. No, they only said that the Trump administration is pitting Americans against the intelligence community, and things are very hard for them, and they don't have to obey unlawful orders, as if somehow they didn't know that. You said what you said. Maybe better said, you're saying what you're saying, and we see you. We hear you, and we're disgusted. Don't tell me that I have to have respect for Alyssa Slotkin because she served in the CIA or she was with the CIA. I don't. Don't tell me I have to have respect for Mark Kelly or Jason Crow because of their military service. I don't. I'll respect the service, but I won't respect the man. But if this is the kind of service that they were giving us, tell me why I have to respect it to begin with. It's obscene. Make your argument, make your case, draw people to your side. Lie? Usurp the President of the United States? The people who voted for him? Not going to condone that. Not going to vote for that either. I'm Tony Katz. There it is. Now it's working. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I have got some troll pheromones going on here because it has just been nuts. I think we're reaching a new audience. The show is growing, and when that happens, some people find out about you, and then, of course, they have to prove their existence by commenting irrationally. I don't know. Maybe when you don't have a sex life, this is how you get off. I don't know. But it's I'm making an assumption. I don't know what works for them, but it does. I would suggest they get into cigars. It's very relaxing. It's beautiful. It's expressions of art, and it's creativity. It's just glorious. The Cameroon from La Aurora, I think it's $7 a stick. Just a good one to have in the humidor. Good all-purpose cigar. Again, a little more spice than I was expecting on this one. But Yardwork cigar, garage cigar. I don't know if this is a golf cigar. That's different. Anyway, back to the show. Yesterday was the funeral for former Vice President Dick Cheney. And I saw a lot of people discussing this, as you did, because Donald Trump and J.D. Vance were not invited. Who would have made the assumption that they would have been? Who would have made the assumption that they would have gone? Why would you think this? Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Now, maybe, listen, Trump went to the funeral of Jimmy Carter, but that was a president. And there's no history with Trump and one of Carter's kids like there is with Trump and Liz Cheney. It's understandable why Trump wouldn't be there. What is not understandable is that when Dick Cheney was vice president under George Bush, remember Dick Cheney was also the Secretary of Defense at one time, Dick Cheney was Darth Vader. If you are of a certain age, you lived through that. Dick Cheney was the worst, the embodiment of the worst of America, the embodiment of corporatism, just pure evil. And now here's his funeral. And who's in attendance? Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, Anthony Fauci, Rachel Maddow, and James Carville. You know, there are a lot of people who don't get involved in politics because they believe nothing matters, right? Their vote doesn't matter. What they push doesn't matter. What these people say it doesn't matter. But there is a fair amount of people who don't get involved in politics because they believe it's all a game. All these people are just playing a game with our lives. Oh, they say this or they say that. It's just so they can make money, but they're all in it together. Dick Cheney was Darth Vader, and Rachel Maddow is at his funeral, sitting next to Anthony Fauci. I don't know what to make of that, except when Rachel Maddow is screaming about somebody. Does she actually believe it? When James Carville is going on one of his syphilis-induced rages, I say that only because I don't know if he has syphilis, but he said of Donald Trump, oh, Donald Trump has syphilis. So I assume he would know because he has it. That's the only way I would think he wouldn't, him not being a doctor. He said this of Donald Trump, and I assume he would know because he knows. And he would only know if he had syphilis. I thought you were opposed to him. I thought you hated him. You show up at his funeral? I'm starting to think that a lot of these people aren't serious. That they do see this as a game. And everything is done for a level of profit. I like profit. I'm a fan. But not at the extent of selling your soul. People are enemies and then they can become friends. People are friends, can become enemies. But this is ugly. Pathetic. And if you want to believe Rachel Maddow in the future, okay. Just don't know how. This is Tony Katz today. By the way, the most beautiful thing about building this studio is to be able to do this during the show, is to be able to engage the way I want in this way. It's been spectacular. I am fully aware that I have got a fair amount of good fortune that I get to do this and I get to do it the way I want. What is that worth? I do think about that when I think about contracts and things like that, and compensation, all that. There are some seriously good advantages going on right here. Seriously good advantages. For sure. Spoke with Ed Morrissey over at hotair.com. I will get that going right now. I'm just tweeting it out. And by the way, Elon, it's still Twitter. Go. Boom. All right. So we will have that. Yeah, work should never interrupt your time here. Never once, never ever, never ever. But I think I missed a bunch of there were a ton of trolls today. So thank you all for dealing with that. I know he still calls it X. I'm saying it. People still call it Twitter. What are you doing? And by the way, he fired 70% of the employees and it still works, meaning that those employees weren't needed to run the business. Is there some argument that he had to keep them employed? Eric, what are you talking about? I said, Elon, it's still called Twitter because he wants to call it X and it's just not buying in. People still call it Twitter. What would I believe the expression is touch grass. Thank you, producer Landon. Good gosh. See, this is just it. You're angry about nothing. You are like the Seinfeld of comments. It's nothing. All right. Let's get this going right here. Coming to it, I spoke with Ed Morrissey earlier. I'll bring it to you right now. So Trump's going to meet with Zohran Mamdani. That's the mayor-elect of New York. And by the way, New York, I remember you. Used to be a great city. Whatever you are now, I wish you the best of luck. I really did have a plan to go with my wife and take one final trip. Hit the Guggenheim, hit the Met, have some good food. Tavola down there at the bottom of Hell's Kitchen. A couple of our favorite places. I don't think we're going to get there. And that means, okay, my days in New York are done. It was a good time. It was. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Ed Morrissey joins me right now from hotair.com. That's where you find him. President Trump meeting with Zohran Mamdani at the White House today. That's at least the plan there. I'm very curious as to two parts, and I want your thoughts. First, why the meeting? Secondly, what the meeting?
Why the meeting? I think that Donald Trump wanted to sort of de-escalate some of the rhetoric that had been generated between New York City and the White House. I think Zohran Mamdani sees even more value in that. I think he wants to be seen as somebody who is ready to not just be an activist, but to be actually a responsible leader in New York, which we're going to discuss another story which shows how unprepared he is actually to be that kind of a leader. And I think for Donald Trump, I think he wants to find ways to take the sting out of the radical left in terms of politics. And that's a dangerous balance to play there, because you risk making them more credible in the long run. But one of the issues that the administration is facing right now is the affordability crisis. And Zohran Mamdani and the radical left are framing the affordability crisis in one way. And I think Donald Trump really does need to seize the initiative on affordability. We've seen J.D. Vance talking about that this week. But I think that this is Donald Trump's way of trying to get in front of that and to present his own thoughts so that Mamdani isn't the only person talking about affordability in the political sphere, nationally speaking. So there's something for both men to gain here. I'm not sure how much traction either one is going to get out of this, but it does have one other thing, which is to sort of dial down the bitterness that is so rampant right now. So if these two guys can sit down and have a conversation.
Caroline Leavitt said yesterday from the White House briefing that a communist is coming to the White House. There's no dialing down, Ed. This is all.
I guess it's a
app. This one goes to 11. That's where
I guess it does go to 11. I guess it does go to 11. But if that was the case, I don't think Donald Trump would have agreed to have the meeting. And I think Donald Trump is a guy who said, I will meet with anybody. I will sit down with anybody. And he proved that in the first term. He sat down with Kim from North Korea. He's willing to sit down with anybody to discuss issues as long as that person's willing to actually discuss nationally. He is a negotiator. That's what he does. I think the other thing that he gets out of this is he gets a chance to assess Mamdani more personally. I think he gets a chance to take a look at this guy, take his measure. And I think he's much better at that than Mamdani is going in the other direction. I don't think Mamdani's got the life experience to do that very well yet. Donald Trump's very good at that. And so, yeah, I think that there's tactical gains that can be made here, but strategically speaking, I don't know that much of anything's going to get settled.
And that is true. Trump does like to size people up. He does like and engages in that reading of people. Let's take a read of Mamdani, right? He's a communist. He's an Islamist. He's an anti-Semite. Well, this is the story from hotair.com written by you, Ed Morrissey. Mamdani's anti-Semitic protest. Jews misused sacred space to promote Israel or something. This was people surrounding what was supposed to be this interfaith meeting, screaming, globalize the Intifada. It's only amazing that no one ended up dead. What's the story here?
Well, I think you pretty much covered it. You had a bunch of people showing up right outside of the synagogue, right? They were right outside the synagogue. They were screaming, globalize the Intifada. They were screaming, we need to make them scared. And what was going on inside the synagogue was that there is a Israeli nonprofit which promotes Aliyah, which is the return of the diaspora Jews to Israel, right? This is something that Israel's been doing since the founding of Israel. And this particular group facilitates this. And they were making a presentation there at this synagogue in New York to tell the Jews there, hey, if you want to emigrate back to Israel, here's how you do it. We can help you out with this. And then Mamdani is pressed. Now, got to remember that Mamdani's not governor yet, or excuse me, mayor yet, but he's the mayor-elect. And he gets asked about this. And rather than condemn the anti-Semitic activists that are outside there trying to terrorize the people inside the synagogue, or criticize the police that allowed that protest to get that close to the synagogue in the first place, normally they would have pushed that down the street a little bit. Yeah. He said, well, you know, they shouldn't use that type of, you know, rhetoric, but the real issue is that the synagogue is allowing people to use sacred space to violate international law. Now, there's no international law against Jews returning to Israel. In fact, there's no international law, and I'm using that in scare quotes, that has anything to do with the settlements either, which is what their point is. That supposedly
the second time or the third time he's brought up this idea of international law and the international law in New York City. I mean, he's showing that he really does not have an interest in what is the Constitution and the laws of the land.
Right. I mean, he was talking about that earlier this week in terms, either last week or earlier this week, in terms of Benjamin Netanyahu coming to New York City and saying that he'd have him arrested because New York City is a city of international law. It most certainly is not. New York City is a city that is chartered under the Constitution of the state of New York, which is subordinate to the Constitution of the United States. International law, to the extent that there is any such thing as international law, there is, but it's very limited, is the authority, the jurisdiction of the federal government, not of the state and not of a city. And so there's no such thing in the United States as a city of international law. And the idea that there is, first off, I would love to see Mamdani go in there and personally try to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu when he's surrounded by not just U.S. Secret Service, but probably some of his own security personnel. Good luck with that. Write us from prison. But I mean, the whole idea is absurd. He is the mayor of a city. He is not an arbiter of international law. And my guess is that the only international law that he even has studied is entirely the product of a couple of seminars at whatever university he managed to go to.
10,000%. Anything he is discussing is theoretical and based on, I'm assuming it's based on some level of humanist nonsense view and not based on anything in practicality or anything in history or anything on any books anywhere. Talking to Ed Morrissey of hotair.com. But when you are a Marxist, you have to invent things in order to be able to bring justice all the way around. He is what he is. And so when we go back to this meeting with President Trump, I wonder if that's going to be addressed. I wonder, you know, to the extent that anything's televised or we get to see the video of it, whether or not that back and forth actually takes place, Trump being definitely a pugilist, whether or not he's going to see whether or not Mamdani can take a punch, or whether he's going to be the, as Bill Maher described, absolutely sweet as pie guy. Let me hear what you have to say, because that's the way I get the best read on you. Speaking of reads, Ed, let's move over to the story where I have stated as clear as day, I have no idea how this deal is going to work, which is this new Steve Witkoff deal regarding Ukraine and a peace deal, as I understand it. And I also want to know your thoughts on how Axios got the story and was able to leak this. The story states that a new peace deal is on the table where Ukraine says to Russia, you get the Donbass, you get Donetsk, you get Luhansk, you get parts of Zaporizhia, this whole eastern section that will lead you down and connect to Crimea. It's more land than Russia's actually taken hold of via these violent means. So talk to me about what you know about this peace deal and Zelensky's response, which is basically we either stay friends with the United States or and if we do that, we give up our dignity. Which one do you want to do, everybody? Which one do you want?
Yeah, I mean, the question here isn't so much dignity. It is, and I get what he's saying. And I have a lot of sympathy for Zelenskyy. I have a lot of sympathy for Ukraine. True justice in this case would be Russia ejected from Ukraine as it was constituted prior to 2014. when Russia actually took effective control of almost all of these territories during the Obama administration. They used proxies in the Donbass. They actually used Russian military in Crimea. They seized pretty much, well, at least mostly everything that would be assigned to them in this peace deal. The tricky part of this here is that those areas are primarily ethnic Russian areas in the first place. They've always been restive against the ethnic Ukrainians in the rest of the country. There's lots of historical reasons why the Russians are in the Donbass and why the ethnic Ukrainians are elsewhere, but it's been a political problem for the last 20-something years, 25 years, I think, or 22 years, when the Orange Revolution first popped up. That was the ethnic Ukrainians finally getting some political control of Ukraine from the ethnic Russians, who were primarily from the eastern region. And this is where all of this starts off, is during that period of time. So I think what they're looking at here is that there are ethnic Russian territories that Russia is simply not going to give up. And they're trying to create an ethnic Ukrainian state that is defensible by ethnic Ukrainians. And the reason why they're trying to do that is because you've got a 4-year stalemate. Neither side is actually doing anything in terms of moving the lines to any significant amount. And you've got people dying all over the place in both Russia and Ukraine, and especially on the front lines, for no reason whatsoever over the last 3.5 years. Nothing's been achieved. Nothing's been accomplished. I think Trump just wants to say, look, realistically speaking, the lines are where the lines are at. Let's separate the ethnic Russians from the ethnic Ukrainians, and then offer them an Article 5 type of guarantee to keep Russia from doing this all over again.
So what makes this weird, Ed, is that the Article 5, we're talking about NATO there, an attack on one is an attack on all. The Article 5 guarantee came when we said, hey, let's do a rare earth minerals type of deal, because that would involve the United States being involved in extracting those minerals, and we are not about to leave them defenseless. They would have security forces. That was the security guarantee. It was de facto in the deal. But
it was implied in the deal. This is explicit. It was implied in the rare earth deal. This is explicit, and Europe would sign on with it.
Difference?
Not really, because the question is whether or not we would follow through on that. Because, as you know, Tony, it was also explicit in the Budapest memo, and we didn't follow through on the Budapest memo. And that was part of the reason why we are where we're at right now, is that Ukraine thought we would actually bring troops into Ukraine to fight off the Russians in 2022, based on the Budapest memo. They gave up nuclear weapons in order to have us guarantee, or in exchange for a guarantee of their territorial integrity. We didn't do that. And this is a reason why I think Zelenskyy is very hesitant to trust that this security guarantee would be anything different. This one, though, is more explicit that there would be a military response to an invasion, whereas the Budapest memo was foggy on that particular point. Let's just say it was ambiguous for a reason, and they found out what the reason was in February of 2022.
That's Ed Morrissey of hotair.com. I always appreciate you, Ed. More is coming up. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Much better. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I am, let's see if I can get this for you. Tim Burchett and, oh God, what's the name of the Democrat? They're on ceasefire. They're on C-SPAN, and they're talking about how, this legislation, this push to stop the insider trading in Congress. It's never going to work. That's the argument. That's the conversation they're having. It's never going to work. Nope. It's never, ever, ever going to work. Let me see if I can. Let's put it together right now. Let me see if I can do this. You guys don't mind if I work on this, do you? No, I'll just start from the beginning. That's what I'll do. That's what I will do. We will come in with that next. Next week, being Thanksgiving, there's going to be a bunch of days that we will not be here. Taking some time. Brisket will not cook itself. That has to happen. There's a brisket. There's burnt ends. And if I can put it all together this weekend, I'm going to try my first pastrami, which involves, the spices and letting it sit and letting that develop out. So you're like, that's a lot for Thanksgiving. I'm just using Thanksgiving as the excuse. There's a brisket, and then I'm going to do a smaller brisket that I'll put in halfway through and be able to pull that out and let that rest, and then cut that up and then sauce that and then put it back on so I can do burnt ends from that. Which burnt ends are brisket, but burnt ends are burnt ends. It's a very different mathematics. I love them. I'm not ashamed to admit it, and I want them. So I'm doing that. Thank you very much. So that'll take some time. So yeah, I'll be out for a few days, and then I'll be back. And it's weird. I had a longer vacation planned, and my home station came to me and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" I said, "Jeepers, what? Could you not take all those days off?" I said, "What?" Well, everybody's taking time off, and we'd like to have somebody who works at the station on the station. That's a true story. So I'm like, all right, I will be here. I will be here. I'll make that happen. Coming back, fantastic. All right, let's get into it.
You said just earlier this week, you said this place is crooked as a dog's leg when you were talking about a bipartisan group of lawmakers discussing a bill that would ban members of Congress from engaging in insider trading.
Yeah, and everybody wants to knock Pelosi. Yeah, I mean, she's made, an incredible return on her investments, obviously, but she's like number 11 in the top 10.
This seems like a rule that people should get on board with.
That's right. It seems like maybe Congress would do what's right, but they're not going to.
Why not?
Because they're greedy, and you all let us do it. 12% of the population goes to the dadgum polls, and they get reelected every dadgum time.
That's Congressman Tim Burchett on Ceasefire, which is a C-SPAN show with Jared Moskowitz. I think Moskowitz is his last name, Democrat, talking about how we shared this, that they're actually going to try and make a move to stop this stock trading by members of Congress. And Burchett's like, it's not going to pass. You guys don't vote people out. You, America, ain't doing your job.
It's crooked. Go to the Unusual Wells website, read the top 100. I'm not in it. I think we're doing some insider trading. I think some people have some genuine knowledge and grasp of the economic system. Case in point, Jared Moskowitz. He was successful before he got to Congress. But these guys get in Congress, not worth anything, and they leave worth multi-million dollars. Man, we're briefed on stuff before you get it. We have people's ears. People are doing 600-700 trades a year. That's not right.
Do you agree?
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Have we actually, I brought this up the other day. Have we actually found the thing? The one thing in all the madness that we can agree with? You can't get insider deals, insider information, and then tell Americans that we have to play by the rules. You don't play by the rules. Why should we play by the rules? This is fantastic. Fantastic. I just hope that he's wrong. I do want this to go somewhere. I do want this nonsense to end. And I am only hoping that he does. Because if we can agree on this, now let's see if we can get the pressure campaign going, because that's the only thing members of Congress will listen to. But they'll be full deaf ears because he's right. It's their money. And they'll do anything for their money, and oft times for yours as well. This is Tony Katz today. Listen, I get that you want to try the brisket, Jennifer. It's not the first time someone has said, my gosh, Tony, I want to try your brisket. But you gotta have a standard. It can't just be handing out brisket at everybody willy-nilly. Then how would it be special? Right? It's got to be special. But we'll see what we can do about maybe having a... Who was it on here? Was it Libertarian Dragon who said, I need to have a festival of meat? Yeah, I think you brought that up the other day. And I'm I've been thinking about that because that's a hilarious name. Welcome to Tony's Festival of Meat. I can put that together. I could definitely put that together. I appreciate you guys being here. The show continues at WIBC.com. My interview with Kurt Schlichter, townhall.com, and a retired United States Army colonel. Be sure to listen to that at WIBC.com. I'll get the video up soon enough. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to go to TonyKatz.com and be a part of what's happening over there and subscribe. You can do it any way you like. I just want you over there. I'd appreciate it if you join us. And I will catch you all on Monday. Have a good weekend. Have fun. Be sure to go to TonyKatz.com and subscribe in all the places. Take care, guys.